The stars had always called to humanity. For 200 years, humans had traveled among them. They built colonies on distant worlds. They made friends with alien species. They joined the Galactic Council and sat among beings who had traveled space for thousands of years. Humans were the newcomers, the young ones. Many alien species looked at them with curiosity. Some looked at them with kindness, but others looked at them with something else entirely. The Valkyrie were one such species. They were tall creatures with hard shells like insects. They had 4 arms and eyes that glowed red in the dark. For 10,000 years, the Valkyrie had conquered and destroyed. They had crushed entire civilizations under their feet. They believed they were the strongest species in the galaxy. Then the Galactic Council formed and war became forbidden. The Valkyrie had to stop their conquests. They had to sit in meetings and talk instead of fight. They hated it. Commander Thrixtil was a Valkyrie warrior born too late. He had never tasted true battle. He had never felt the joy of crushing an enemy. He spent his days patrolling empty space, dreaming of the glory his ancestors had known. He looked at humans and felt only disgust. They were soft creatures with no shells to protect them. They laughed too much. They cried too easily. They were weak. One day, his chance came. A human colony ship called the Cradle of Hope was traveling through space that the Valkyrie claimed as their own. The ship carried 300 families to a new world. There were engineers and doctors and teachers aboard. There were mothers and fathers. There were children. Commander Thrixtil watched the ship on his screen. His red eyes glowed brighter. "Disable their engines," he ordered his crew. "We are going to send a message." The Valkyrie warship fired. The colony ship shook and stopped moving. It floated helpless in the cold darkness of space. Thrixtil took 50 warriors and boarded the human vessel. The humans screamed and ran. They tried to hide, but there was nowhere to go. The Valkyrie warriors gathered all the passengers in the main hall. 300 families stood together, holding each other. Parents pushed their children behind them. They begged. They pleaded. "Please," a human man said. "We meant no disrespect. We will leave your space immediately. Just let us go." Thrixtil walked through the crowd slowly. His heavy feet made the floor shake with each step. He looked at the humans like they were insects. "You do not understand," he said. "I do not want you to leave. I want the galaxy to see something." He pointed at the children. "Bring me the young ones." The parents screamed. They fought, but the Valkyrie warriors were too strong. They tore children from their mothers' arms. They dragged them away from their fathers. 47 children were taken to the cargo bay of the ship. The youngest was 4 years old. The oldest was 12. Thrixtil had brought cameras. He made sure the whole galaxy would see what happened next. The warriors carried ceremonial painstaves. These were weapons designed not to kill, but to hurt, to cause the greatest pain possible. The Valkyrie had used them for thousands of years to punish their enemies. Now they used them on human children. The beating lasted for 1 hour. The children screamed until their voices broke. Bones cracked. Blood flowed. Small bodies fell to the ground, and still the warriors kept hitting. The parents could hear everything through the walls. Their cries were worse than any sound the galaxy had ever known. Through it all, Commander Thrixtil stood before the camera and smiled. "Let the galaxy see," he announced. "This is what happens to vermin who forget their place. Humanity is nothing. They are weak. They are pathetic. And if they ever think they are equal to the Valkyrie, we will remind them of this day." When the beating finally stopped, 47 children lay broken on the cargo bay floor. They were alive, but barely. Some would never walk again. Some would never see again. All of them would carry scars for the rest of their lives. The Valkyrie left. They did not take anything from the ship. They did not kill anyone. They simply left the humans floating in space with their broken children and flew away laughing. Thrixisto expected the galaxy to see human weakness. He expected other species to laugh at the soft creatures who could not protect their own young. He expected humanity to cry and beg and do nothing. He was wrong about everything. The broadcast reached Earth in 4 hours. In homes and offices and schools, humans watched in silence. They saw their children beaten. They heard their screams. They watched the Valkyrie commander smile at the camera. Something changed in that moment. For 200 years, humanity had tried to be peaceful. They had tried to be good members of galactic society. They had smiled at insults. They had ignored threats. They had believed that kindness would eventually win respect. But as they watched their children bleed, something very old woke up inside them. Something that had slept since the days when humans hunted with spears and protected their caves from predators. Something dark and patient and terrible. The alien species of the galaxy did not understand humans. They saw small, soft creatures and thought they knew what that meant. They did not know about human history. They did not know about the wars humans had fought against each other. They did not know what humans were capable of when they stopped being nice. They were about to learn in hospitals across human space. Doctors fought to save the 47 children. Parents sat by their beds and held their hands. They whispered promises that everything would be okay. But in the quiet moments, when the children finally slept, those same parents looked at each other with eyes that held no tears. Only cold, burning fire. They will pay, a mother whispered, holding her daughter's broken hand. Every single one of them will pay. Across human space, billions of voices whispered the same thing. The Valkyrie had made a terrible mistake. They had hurt human children and expected nothing to happen. They did not know that humans had one rule that went deeper than any law. One rule that was older than civilization itself. You do not touch the children. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. Neither did the Valkyrie, but they would learn soon enough. The video of the attack spread across the galaxy like fire. Every species saw it. Every world talked about it. In alien bars and council chambers, beings discussed what the Valkyrie had done. Most expected the usual response. When a young species was attacked, they typically ran to the Galactic Council. They cried. They begged for help. They asked for sanctions and strongly worded letters. That was how things worked. The Valkyrie ambassador sat in his chair at the council, waiting for the human representative to arrive. He had prepared a speech about how humanity had entered Valkyrie space without permission. He had documents showing that technically no laws had been broken. He expected to win easily. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked into the chamber 6 hours after the attack. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She had been a diplomat for 40 years. She had negotiated treaties with dozens of species. Everyone who knew her said she was patient and kind. Today, she looked different. Her face showed no emotion at all. Her eyes were empty like the void between stars. She did not go to the speaking platform. She did not ask to address the council. She simply stood in the center of the room and waited until everyone fell silent. Humanity formally withdraws from the Galactic Accords, she said. Her voice was flat and cold. We will handle this matter internally. The chamber erupted in confused noise. Species shouted questions. The council president demanded an explanation. The Valkyrie ambassador laughed out loud. You withdraw? The insectoid being chittered. You give up your protections? Stupid mammals. Without the Accords, you have no allies. No trade agreements. No defense treaties. You will be alone. Elena turned to look at him. Her eyes met his glowing red ones. We are not withdrawing for our protection. she said quietly. The laughter died in the Valkyri's throat. Alina walked out of the chamber without another word. She boarded a ship and returned to human space. Behind her, the galaxy watched and wondered. Then the humans did something no one expected. They disappeared. Within 24 hours, every human ship returned to human space. Scientists left joint research stations in the middle of experiments. Traders abandoned deals worth billions of credits. Diplomats packed their bags and went home. Human colonies stopped answering communications. Trade routes went dark. The borders of human space became walls of silence. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Intelligence. Agents from various species tried to find out what was happening. They sent probes toward human space. The probes never came back. They sent spy ships. The ships vanished without a trace. Rumors began to spread. Some said the humans were hiding in fear. Others said they were building something. Strange readings came from deep within human territory. Energy signatures that made no sense. Heat blooms that suggested massive industrial activity. The Valkyri dismissed all of it. "They are cowards," Commander Thrix announced to his fleet. They ran away to cry in the dark. In a few months, they will come crawling back to the Council, begging for forgiveness. We have shown the galaxy what humans truly are. But others were not so sure. The Althean ambassador was an ancient being who had lived for 1,000 years. She had seen many species rise and fall. She had watched the Valkyri conquer worlds before the Council stopped them. She knew what war looked like. "You are fools," she told the Council. "I have studied humanity. They are not running away. They are preparing. Preparing for what?" Someone asked. The old Althean shook her head slowly. "You do not understand these creatures. I have read their history. I have seen what they did to each other before they reached the stars. They nearly destroyed their own world. Not once, but many times. They invented weapons that could burn entire cities in seconds. They fought wars that killed hundreds of millions of their own kind." She looked at the Valkyri ambassador with pity in her eyes. "And now you have given them a reason to remember how to be monsters." The Valkyri laughed at her warning. The other species whispered nervously, but did nothing. 2 months passed. In that time, humanity was busy. Every factory on every human world worked day and night. Workers who had never built weapons learned how to make them. Scientists who had studied medicine now studied destruction. Ships that had carried families and cargo were stripped down and rebuilt as warships. The humans had always been builders. They had always been inventors. Now they turned those skills toward a single purpose. Deep in the Sol system, Fleet Admiral James Okonkwo stood before a wall of screens. Each screen showed ships, thousands of them. More warships than humanity had ever built before. "How many?" he asked his aide. 3,200 ships ready to fight, Admiral. Another 500 will be ready within the week. Okonkwo nodded slowly. "And the weapons?" "The scientists say the new missiles can crack a planet's crust. The energy beams can cut through any known armor. We have also developed something else." The aide paused. "Something we are calling the Sun Killer. I do not want to use that unless we must." "Yes, Admiral. But it is ready if we need it." Okonkwo looked at the screens for a long moment. He thought about the videos he had seen. The children screaming. The Valkyri laughing. The parents crying. His own grandchildren were safe on Earth. But those 47 children could have been any human child. They could have been his grandchildren. "Send a message to every ship," he said. "We move in 3 days." Across human space, 40 million soldiers prepared for war. They were not professional killers. They were teachers and farmers and engineers who had volunteered. Every single one of them had watched the video. Every single one of them had the same cold fire in their eyes. Humanity had been peaceful for 200 years. They had almost forgotten what they were capable of, but they remembered now. The silence was almost over, and when it ended, the galaxy would learn why humanity should never be pushed too far. Fleet Admiral James Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the flagship Righteous Fury. Through the window, he could see the largest fleet ever assembled by humanity. Ships stretched across the darkness of space like an endless river of steel and fire. 3,000 warships. 40 million soldiers. Weapons that had never been used before. All of it built in 2 months. All of it for one purpose. Around him, his senior commanders waited in silence. They were men and women from every nation on Earth and every colony in human space. For the first time in history, there was no division among them. No politics. No arguments. Just cold, unified purpose. Before we begin, Okonkwo said, I want to tell you something. He pressed a button and the main screen lit up. It showed a hospital room on Earth, 47 beds in a long row. In each bed lay a child wrapped in bandages. Machines beeped around them. Parents sat beside them, holding their hands. These are the children of the cradle of hope, Okonkwo said. 47 of them. The youngest is Maria Santos. She is 4 years old. The Valkyrie broke both of her legs and cracked her skull. The doctors say she may never walk normally again. The commanders watched in silence. Some had tears in their eyes. Others had fists clenched so tight their knuckles turned white. The oldest is Thomas Chun. He is 12. He tried to protect the younger children during the attack. The Valkyrie beat him until his spine was damaged. He will spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Okonkwo let the images sink in. We contacted every family, he continued. We gave them a choice. We could pursue justice through the Galactic Council, trials, sanctions. The Valkyrie commander might spend a few years in prison. That was one option. He paused. The other option was fire. He looked at his commanders. Every single family chose fire. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. This operation has been given a name, Okonkwo said. We are calling it Operation Lullaby. Because when it is over, the Valkyrie will sleep forever. He turned to the navigation officer. Set course for Valkyrie space. All ships. The fleet began to move. Before they crossed into Valkyrie territory, human diplomats had one last job to do. Ambassador Elena Vasquez sent identical messages to every species in the galaxy. Every government. Every council member. Every civilization that had ever contacted humanity. The message was simple. The human species is going to war with the Valkyrie. This is not your war. We ask only that you stand aside. Do not help them. Do not hide them. Do not give them weapons or ships or information. If you do any of these things, we will consider you our enemy as well. We do not wish to fight anyone except the Valkyrie. But if you force us to, we will. You have 12 hours to respond. Within 6 hours, most species had declared neutrality. The Altheans sent a message saying they supported humanity completely. The Chronari offered to send ships to help. Several smaller species simply said, we understand. Do what you must. Only one species offered to help the Valkyrie. They were a small race called the Tazari, who had long been allies of the insectoids. Ambassador Vasquez sent them a second message. You have made your choice. We will remember it. The Tazari suddenly changed their minds and declared neutrality. Fear was a powerful thing. By the time the human fleet reached the borders of Valkyrie space, the insectoids were completely alone. No allies, no support. Just them against the entire human species. They still did not believe they could lose. Commander Thrixtel gathered his fleet of 800 warships. It was the largest Valkyrie military force in 500 years. He looked at his warriors and felt proud. "The humans are coming," he announced. "Let them come. We will crush them as we have crushed so many others. Our ancestors conquered 100 worlds. We will conquer these soft creatures too." His warriors cheered. Their red eyes glowed with excitement. Thrixtel did not know that human spy drones had been watching his fleet for weeks. He did not know that humans had mapped every defense station, every weapons platform, every strategic point in Valkyrie space. He did not know that human scientists had studied Valkyrie ships and found their weaknesses. He thought he was preparing an ambush. He was wrong. The first human ships entered Valkyrie space at noon, Galactic Standard Time. Thrixtel watched them on his screen and laughed. "Only 50 ships? They send 50 ships against my 800? The humans are fools." Then his senses went wild. Behind the first 50 ships came more, and more, and more. They poured out of hyperspace like a flood. Hundreds, then thousands. The entire human fleet appeared at once, surrounding the Valkyrie from every direction. Thrixtel stopped laughing. "By the gods," one of his officers whispered. "Where did they get so many ships?" No one had an answer. Admiral Okonkwo's face appeared on every Valkyrie screen. His voice was calm and cold. "This is Fleet Admiral James Okonkwo of the Human Combined Fleet. You have committed an act of war against our species. You injured our children. You laughed while doing it. You broadcast your crime to the entire galaxy." He paused. "There will be no negotiation. There will be no surrender. There will be no mercy. You showed none to our children. We will show none to you." The communication ended. Thrixtel tried to respond. He tried to order his ships to form a defensive formation. He tried to contact Valkyrie High Command for reinforcements, but the humans were not waiting for him to get ready. The first missiles were already flying. Operation Lullaby had begun, and they, Valkyrie, were about to learn what happened when humans stopped being peaceful. The first battle lasted 4 hours. 800 Valkyrie warships against 3,000 human vessels. The insectoids had ruled space for 10,000 years. They had never lost a war. They lost this one in a single afternoon. Human missiles moved faster than anything the Valkyrie had ever seen. They punched through shields like they were made of paper. Valkyrie ships exploded in chains of fire across the darkness of space. The insectoids tried to fight back, but their weapons seemed slow and weak compared to what the humans had built. Commander Thrixtel watched his fleet die around him. Ship after ship vanished from his screen. Hundreds of thousands of Valkyrie warriors turned to ash in seconds. "This is impossible," he whispered. They were supposed to be weak, but the humans were not weak. They had simply chosen not to show their strength before. They had hidden their true nature behind smiles and kind words. Now the mask was off. Thrixtel tried to run. His ship turned toward Valkyrie space, engines burning at maximum power. A human cruiser followed him. It was faster. It caught up within minutes. The human captain did not destroy Thrixtel's ship. Instead, he disabled its engines and sent soldiers to board it. They wanted the commander alive. Thrixtel was dragged from his bridge in chains. Human soldiers stood around him with cold eyes. None of them spoke. None of them needed to dock. By the end of the first day, the Valkyrie fleet was gone. 800 warships reduced to floating wreckage and drifting bodies. The humans had lost 12 ships. 12 out of 3,000. The galaxy watched in shock. How is this possible? The council president asked no one in particular. Humans have been spacefaring for only 2 centuries. The Valkyrie have been a military power for thousands of years. The old Althean ambassador shook her head. "You still do not understand. Humans do not fight like other species. They do not fight for territory or resources or pride. When they truly go to war, they fight to end things, completely. She was right. The human fleet did not stop after the first battle. They moved deeper into Valkyrie space with terrible speed. Every military base they found, they destroyed. Every defense station was reduced to rubble. Every ship that tried to fight was hunted down and torn apart. The humans did not capture prisoners. They did not negotiate. They simply killed everything that wore a Valkyrie uniform. On the second day, they reached the first Valkyrie colony world. 500 million insectoids lived there. Military targets were spread across the planet's surface. Admiral Okonkwo looked at the world on his screen. His face showed no emotion. "Are there any military installations on that planet?" he asked. "Yes, Admiral. 17 bases. Also weapons factories and training centers." "What about civilians?" "The military targets are in cities, sir. If we bomb them, civilians will die too." Okonkwo closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about the 47 children. He thought about the Valkyrie laughing as they beat them. He thought about what mercy meant. "Give them 1 hour to evacuate the cities around military targets," he said. "Then destroy everything." Some civilians escaped. Many did not. The Valkyrie had never expected anyone to actually attack their worlds. They were not prepared for evacuation. By the end of the hour, 17 mushroom clouds rose into the sky. Words spread across Valkyrie space. The humans were coming. The humans were destroying everything. The humans could not be stopped. Panic began. Valkyrie fled their colonies by the millions. Ships crammed with refugees tried to escape to neutral space. The humans let them go. They were not interested in those who ran. They were interested in those who had stayed to fight. By the 5th day, 3 Valkyrie worlds had been pacified. Their military was gone. Their cities were burning. Their people were learning what it meant to face an enemy that would not stop. On the 6th day, the human fleet reached the Valkyrie homeworld. It was a large planet with orange skies and black oceans. 8 billion Valkyrie lived there. It was the heart of their civilization, the center of their empire, the place where their species had been born. Admiral Okonkwo broadcast a message to the entire planet. "People of the Valkyrie homeworld, your military attacked our children. Your commander broadcast their suffering to the galaxy for entertainment. Your leaders laughed and called us weak." He paused. "We are not weak. I am giving you 24 hours. In that time, you will surrender every member of your military to us. You will hand over every leader who approved of the attack. You will turn over every weapon you possess. If you do these things, your civilians will be spared. If you do not, we will turn your world to glass." The Valkyrie government refused. They still believed they could negotiate. They still thought the humans were bluffing. They sent messages offering peace talks and treaties and compensation. The humans did not respond. 20-4 hours later, the bombardment began. Human ships rained fire from the sky. Military bases vanished in balls of light. Government buildings collapsed into dust. Shipyards and factories and weapons facilities were erased from existence. The Valkyrie homeworld burned for 3 days. When it finally stopped, the Valkyrie military was gone. Their government was gone. Their ability to make war was gone forever. Commander Thrixto was brought before a human tribunal. Soldiers who had lost children in the attack were allowed to watch. The parents of the 47 children were given seats in the front row. Thrixto screamed that this was genocide. He screamed that the galaxy would condemn humanity. He screamed that the humans were monsters worse than any the universe had ever seen. A human woman stood up from the front row. Her daughter had been among the 47. Her daughter would never walk again. She walked up to Thrixto and looked into his red eyes. "You taught us something," she said quietly. You taught us that mercy is something we choose to give, and we have chosen not to give it to you. Thrixtel was executed that day. The war had lasted 11 days. The Volcari Empire was gone. 1 year had passed since the war ended. The galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. A species that had been spacefaring for only 2 centuries had destroyed an empire that had existed for 10,000 years. In 11 days, with barely any losses, the Volcari were not extinct. Humanity had not killed every single one of them. Billions of civilians had survived, but their military was gone. Their government was gone. Their homeworld was in ruins. Their colonies had surrendered and were now under human administration. The Volcari who remained were scattered across the galaxy as refugees. They lived in camps on neutral worlds. They begged for food and shelter from species they had once looked down upon. The proud conquerors of 100 worlds now had nothing, and everywhere they went, other species looked at them and whispered, "They hurt human children. Look what happened to them." In the Galactic Council, the seat that had belonged to the Volcari sat empty. No one wanted to sit near it. It had become a symbol, a reminder. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked into the council chamber exactly 1 year after she had walked out. She looked different now. The coldness in her eyes had softened. She almost looked like the kind diplomat she had been before the attack. The chamber fell silent as she took her place at the speaking platform. Every species in the galaxy watched, some on screens in their homes, some in the chamber itself. Everyone wanted to hear what humanity would say. 1 year ago, Elena began, I stood in this chamber and told you that humanity was withdrawing from the Galactic Accords. We did this because we needed to handle a matter ourselves, without interference, without rules that would protect those who had hurt our children. She paused. That matter has been handled. No one spoke. No one moved. Today, humanity wishes to rejoin the Galactic Accords. We want to return to being peaceful members of galactic society. We want to trade and cooperate and build friendships with all of you. Some delegates looked relieved. Others still looked frightened. But before we rejoin, Elena continued, we have a proposal. A single addition to galactic law. We believe this addition will prevent what happened to our children from ever happening again. To anyone. She transmitted a document to every delegate in the chamber. We are proposing Article 7, Section 1. We call it the Doctrine of Sanctuary. The delegates read the words on their screens. The children of any sapient species are to be considered sacrosanct. Any deliberate harm inflicted upon children shall be considered an act of war against the entirety of their species and shall invite unlimited retaliation, without appeal or mediation. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Some delegates looked worried. Others nodded slowly. This law will protect all children, Elena said. Not just human children. If anyone hurts the children of the Altheans or the Chronori or any other species, they will face the same consequences the Volcari faced. No exceptions. No mercy. She looked around the chamber. We understand if some of you are afraid of this law. We understand if you think it is too extreme. But ask yourselves this. What kind of galaxy do you want to live in? One where the powerful can hurt children for entertainment, or one where such acts are unthinkable? The Volcari thought they could beat our children and face no consequences. They were wrong. Let this law make sure that no one ever makes that mistake again. With any species, the vote was held immediately. It was unanimous. Every species in the galaxy voted yes. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, a young being approached Ambassador Vasquez. He was from a species called the Minari. They had achieved spaceflight only 50 years ago. They were even younger to the galaxy than humans. Ambassador, he said nervously, may I ask you something? Elena smiled gently. It was the first time anyone had seen her smile in over a year. Of course. The young Minari looked at his feet. Is it true what they say about humans? That you are monsters? Elena was quiet for a moment. She thought about the question carefully. No, she said finally. We are not monsters. We are parents. She put a hand on his shoulder. Do you have children on your world? Yes, the Minari said. Many. Then you understand. You would do anything to protect them. Anything at all. Even things that seem terrible to others. Because that is what parents do. She patted his shoulder and began to walk away. Ambassador? The Minari called after her. She turned. I am glad the law passed. My people feel safer now. Elena nodded. That is all we wanted. For everyone to feel safe. She walked out of the council chamber and did not look back. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. Slowly at first, then faster. Trade routes reopened. Human ships traveled among the stars again. Scientists returned to joint research stations. Diplomats sat in meetings and talked about cooperation. But things were different now. Everyone treated humans with a new kind of respect. Not the kind that comes from admiration. The kind that comes from understanding exactly what someone is capable of. Stories spread about humanity. Some were true. Some were exaggerated. But they all carried the same message. The humans are kind. The humans are generous. They will share their technology and help those in need. They will give you the shirt off their back. But whatever you do, whatever foolish idea enters your mind, never hurt their children. Because if you do, they will find you. They will destroy everything you have built. They will erase your civilization from the stars. And they will do it all with cold eyes and steady hands. Because that is what parents do. 50 years later, a historian from the Althean species wrote a book about humanity. It was called The Sleeping Giant, and it became the most widely read text in galactic history. In it, he wrote, the humans spent 2 centuries trying to convince the galaxy that they were peaceful. They smiled and traded and made friends. Many species thought they were weak, soft, easy to push around. The Valkyrie found out the truth. Humans are not weak. They are simply patient. They do not wish to fight. But when something precious is threatened, they become something else entirely. Something ancient and terrible. Something that does not stop until the threat is gone. The galaxy now understands this. And because we understand, we are at peace. No one wants to wake the sleeping giant. No one wants to see those cold eyes again. The doctrine of sanctuary has never been tested since its creation. No species has harmed another's children. Perhaps this is because everyone learned from the Valkyrie. Or perhaps it is simply because everyone is afraid. Either way, the children of the galaxy sleep safely in their beds. And somewhere out there, humanity watches over them all. That is the gift the humans gave us. That is the price the Valkyrie paid, and that is why, when my grandchildren ask me about humans, I tell them the same thing everyone tells their children now. Be kind to them. They will be kind to you, but never, ever hurt them. Because the humans remember. The humans always remember, and they never, ever forgive. The book ended with a simple dedication. To the 47 children of the Cradle of Hope, may you never be forgotten. May your suffering never be repeated. May the stars always remember what was done in your name. And across the galaxy, for generations to come, they did.